path. Xiefeng, October 20th, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. In places where competition is fierce, survival conditions become harsher and relationships between people become more tense, making the acquisition of survival resources more brutal. The simpler and easier the pathway to obtain survival resources, the more intense the competition becomes. For a job that anyone can do, the more sought after it becomes, the fiercer the competition. For a job that only 1 in 10 people can do, the competition is relatively less fierce. Then, for a job that only 1 in 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, or 1,000,000,000 people can do, we find that the fewer people who can do it, the less competitive it is because there are not many people competing with oneself. For example, a surface coal mining company recruiting miners will attract many applicants. However, the Mariana Trench Exploration Company, due to the high difficulty involved, would likely struggle to find more than a few suitable candidates worldwide. A government unit recruiting civil servants, hiring 10 of them, may attract hundreds or thousands of applicants, making the competition fierce. But if Elon Musk is recruiting someone capable of controlling the global nuclear weapons button to prevent nuclear-armed countries from launching nuclear weapons, probably only very few people can be found in the world at present. In 1997, I went to the Harare labor market to recruit a male flower worker and a female worker for laundry, cleaning, and hygiene. When the car arrived at the market, before I could even get out of the car, many people surrounded it. There were many people who wanted to do flower work and household chores. Later, when I went to the market to recruit shop assistants, the situation was the same. Then, when I opened a bar and tried to recruit a bartender, there were very few suitable candidates. Later, when I opened a nightclub and tried to recruit a DJ mixer, I couldn't find one. I had to hire a DJ mixer instead. From this, we discovered a small secret, which is that if you want to find a job with low competition and high income in society, you must have special talents and be different from others. Without putting in effort and undergoing rigorous training during our upbringing, we can only compete with many others for our livelihood. This involves the question of the meaning of life. That is, from an early age, we must consider what kind of work or career to engage in. Each person has 24 hours a day, and where we allocate our time and energy is a major factor in whether we will be happy or not in our lives. Now, there are thousands of job types in front of us. Which one will you choose? For example, shining shoes, making shoes, repairing shoes, herding sheep, herding horses, farming, gardening, being a shop assistant, a police officer, a taxi driver, a delivery person, a grocery store manager, a restaurant owner, a teacher, a civil servant, a worker, a soldier, a workshop technician, an engineer, a professor, a painter, a doctor, a lawyer, a judge, a musician, a performer, an entrepreneur, a writer, and so on. We find that the faster the income comes, the simpler and more accessible the job is, and the more people can do it, the more intense the competition will be. For example, shining shoes on the street can bring income on the same day. Working as a laborer, a teacher, or a civil servant can bring income in the same month, and farming and gardening can bring income in the same season. However, to become a professor, an engineer, or an entrepreneur requires upfront investment, effort, and more investment. In conclusion, to avoid fierce competition and maximize income, one must first invest. The longer the investment period, the fewer competitors there will be, and the greater the benefits will be. At this point, we find that due to the need for survival or the pressure of survival, most people have given up investing and turned to seeking quick profits. They go where they can make money quickly and engage in work that can bring immediate gains. As a result, the number of elite individuals in all walks of life is decreasing, while outstanding individuals are becoming fewer and fewer, and the number of ordinary people is increasing. Everyone is familiar with the story of Mencius' mother moving 3 times. Why did Mencius' mother move 3 times? It was actually for her son's aspiration. In the end, because of his high aspirations, Mencius became a great thinker who has been passed down through the ages. The higher the aspiration, the more one must endure long-term solitary struggles. One must endure rigorous training and withstand the temptations of money, power, fame, and beauty. Additionally, one must persevere in focusing one's mind and spirit on one's ideals. Finally, one must invest one's time and energy in one's own career. Do not be hasty for quick success. Those who are hasty for quick success will never become outstanding figures. So, what is the highest aspiration? Whether it is herding sheep, shining shoes, farming, or becoming a professor, a doctor, or a financier, the ultimate result is death. It's considered good to live safely until the age of 70 or 80, thinking about life's brevity, tossing around, and eventually becoming a handful of ashes in a bone ash box, thinking of such an end. All hopes are dashed. Therefore, we find that becoming a celestial being is the highest aspiration in life. Not only can one enjoy the joys of life to the fullest, but there is also a wonderful future ahead. Do you want to become a celestial being? 来世不落帝王家的启示. The revelation of not born into a royal family in the next life. By Xiefeng. November 25, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. Looking through history, countless individuals born into royal families have met tragic fates, with many facing massacres or even complete annihilation. Even those who ascend to the throne, how many of them meet peaceful ends? Fathers and sons vie for power. Family members turn against each other, and siblings are torn apart. Once ousted from power, those associated with the emperor are often massacred. If they are imprisoned or exiled instead of being completely slaughtered, it could be seen as a result of past blessings. Not only do those born into royal families suffer, but individuals born in war-torn regions also face hardships. Moreover, being born into a certain family can lead to being implicated and even result in the massacre of staff and servants. Similarly, joining a particular organization, be it a political party, religious group, or organized crime syndicate, can lead to dire consequences if it falls from grace, with imprisonment being inevitable. In places where power struggles are fierce, standing with the wrong person or joining the wrong side can have dreadful consequences. Throughout history, soldiers from both sides have shed blood in battles. But have we ever considered that these soldiers are beloved children of mothers, cherished husbands of wives, and respected fathers of children? Why do they engage in mutual slaughter? There is a tale of a criminal who complained to the greatest creator when the ship he was on sank, saying, "Why, to punish just me, did you have to drown over 200 people?" A distant voice from the heavens responded, "It wasn't an easy task to gather over 200 people who were destined to perish, was it?" During an earthquake, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, may perish in an instant. A flood can separate the living from the dead in a village within moments. An airplane crash can cause hundreds of people to vanish without a trace in an instant. Timing, luck, destiny. What do these phenomena teach us? Beneath the glory of power lurk invisible dangers and threats of violence. Beneath the glimmer of wealth hide endless servility and misery. Underneath the extravagance of pleasure lie numerous tears of helplessness and lurking crises. Underneath the allure of beauty lies endless bitterness, endurance, and looming danger. Beneath the radiance of fame hide indescribable impurities and corruption. Beneath the clamor of excitement lie countless disasters, misfortunes, and despair. These give us some insights into how to live our lives. Do not be misled by surface glamour, honor, and wealth. Do not walk towards power, status, wealth, fame, beauty, or excitement. For those who do, inevitable strife and misfortune await. The reverse is the movement of Tao. Walk towards places where crowds are sparse, towards auspiciousness and brightness, towards simplicity and tranquility, towards joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss, towards the path of nature. By doing so, you can minimize disasters and unexpected blows. So, where do you intend to be born in the next life? 摄像头的启示. The Revelation of the Camera. By Xiefeng. February 20th, 2024. Translation edited by Chinyo. In this era, no matter where you go, there is likely a camera watching you, recording everything you do. This is especially true in important places like banks, jewelry stores, airports, and stations. But don't forget, many homes and even hotel rooms are monitored by cameras. Sometimes it's unimaginable that someone might secretly install a camera in your bedroom to record everything. This phenomenon tells us that no matter where we go, whether there is a camera or not, we must be prepared for the possibility of being watched by countless cameras. We must behave honestly and decently, otherwise, our actions may be captured by others and become irrefutable evidence for blackmail. What does this phenomenon reveal to us? It reveals to us that the sky has eyes, the earth has eyes, everyone has a pair of eyes, there are gods 3 feet above our heads, there is a space called retention information space in the 36-dimensional spaces. This space tells us that everything in the universe is a camera. Our daily words and deeds are meticulously recorded by the retention information space. As long as the universe exists, everything from our past, including a few years ago, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, tens of thousands of years ago, hundreds of millions of years ago, is fully recorded, not in photo form, but in documentary form. Many people see their past like watching a serial drama after being hypnotized. Therefore, never do evil. Never have the mentality that if I do this, no one will know, especially when you are alone. Don't think that no one knows what you do. The actual situation is that heaven knows, earth knows, the greatest creator knows, everything knows. So don't sneak around doing bad things. You can't escape the law. Now let's think about another question. Does anyone know every thought in our hearts? Before we get this answer, let's think about whether anyone will know every word we type on our computer and mobile phone. The truth is, as long as our computers and mobile phones are connected to the internet, no matter what content we type on our computers and mobile phones, the network terminal knows and even records it. We know that every person is connected to the entire universe, so we know that the universe knows all our thoughts and ideas, and they are all recorded. How can the universe know our thoughts and ideas? How does it know our inner activities? It turns out that all our thoughts and activities in our hearts will turn into a frequency wave and be emitted into the universe, and our biological wave color will also change with our inner activities. Even our expressions, emotions, and postures will change with our inner activities. How can the universe not know? The universe knows everything means that Tao will record everything that has happened and is happening in the universe. This means that the greatest creator knows everything. Our every little bit, including inner activities, can't escape the greatest creator's eyes and ears. So we understand the reason why miracles appear when we cry out to the greatest creator for help in times of crisis. We will understand the value and significance of praying or confessing to the greatest creator. So we further understand that our current life situation is all caused by our past words and deeds and all the activities in our hearts. Everything is just right. There is no favoritism and injustice. So we understand how to live this life, understand which path to take in life. 泥石流为他停留16秒的启示. The revelation from the mudslide stopping for him for 16 seconds. Xiefeng, July 5, 2024. Translation edited by Qinyu. When the Israelites crossed the Red Sea, the sea stopped flowing to give them a path. Jesus fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and Christ turned water into wine. These stories from the Bible often seem like myths or science fiction. However, real-life phenomenon, the mudslide stopped for him for 16 seconds, happened in our time. I saw the video, the mudslide stopped for him for 16 seconds on the internet. I believe it's real, although I don't know the time and place it occurred. From the video, you can see it was in a village, likely after heavy rain caused a mudslide. The mudslide flowed down a village path, then suddenly stopped moving, waiting there motionless. At the forefront of the mudslide was a white van in extreme danger. Seeing the mudslide stop, the van quickly drove away. Once the van was out of danger, the mudslide roared down with a force like an avalanche. A mudslide stopping for 16 seconds and then resuming its powerful flow defies common sense and rationality. We wouldn't expect a river to stop flowing temporarily to ensure someone's safety and then continue once they're safe. Rationalists would never acknowledge this because it defies common sense and logical thinking. I recommend that readers search online and watch the mudslide stopped for him for 16 seconds video. In Chanyuan, we have a value that nothing is impossible. There are only things we can't imagine or comprehend. If a mudslide can temporarily stop to ensure someone's safety, what can't happen? The insight we gain from the mudslide stopping is as follows. Do good deeds, regardless of what the future holds. God bless those kind-hearted. A kind person may be bullied by others, but not by heaven. An evil person may be feared by others, but not by heaven. A true gentleman does not seek blessings, yet heaven guides him. A cunning person tries to avoid disaster, yet heaven takes his soul. Reflecting on the car accident that happened to me, it changed the course of my life completely. When I got out of the car and looked at the scene, the first thought that came to my mind was, God saved me. Since then, I stopped considering myself and dedicated myself wholeheartedly to the theory of life genuine and the construction of the second home. I knew that I died in that car accident, and what remained of me belonged to God. Thus, my life's motto is, entrust my life to the greatest creator and let the Tao manage my life. I have only one task, to walk the way of the greatest creator. What is destined to come will inevitably come. Trying to avoid it is futile. What is destined to leave will inevitably leave. Trying to hold on is futile. Selflessness, unselfishness, non-attachment, taking things as they are, associating with others by following natural come-and-go relations, acting in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and taking advantage of opportunities as they arise. This is the best way to live. It is also the essential way to the heavenly kingdom that the greatest creator can bless us to go. 自由中潜藏着地狱. There lurks a hell in freedom. Xiefeng, July 14, 2024. Translation edited by Qinyu. First and foremost, I firmly oppose any form of coercion. I oppose anyone imposing their will on others. I oppose autocracy by any individual, and I also oppose irrational democratic movements by the masses. I advocate for freedom, freedom of the body, mind, and spirit. However, today I want to point out that there lurks a hell in freedom. Freedom belongs to those who are highly spiritual, humble, eager to learn, and actively contribute without concern for personal gain or loss. If a person is lazy, selfish, greedy, cunning, scheming, or so clueless that they don't know their position in life, then freedom is likely to lead them to hell. The Life Genuine International Family Organization purchased a resort in northern British Columbia, Canada, by a famous lakeside. This place is picturesque, serene, and peaceful. Sitting by the lake, one can enjoy the blue sky, white clouds, and birds flying, and even see the coastal mountains with their snow-capped peaks that do not melt even in summer. Upon arriving at the resort, there were many things to do. I needed people to help me, as there were 7 independent wooden cabins for guests and 12 grassy camping spots, and it was impossible for just 1 or 2 people to manage everything. According to the Life Genuine Second Home program, we cannot hire people, as hiring would require paying wages, and the Second Home program does not allow any monetary transactions within. Therefore, only Chanyuan Celestials and temporary volunteers can work here. However, we did not have enough Celestials, as a few were needed to run our other small hotel in another part of Canada, which was doing well. The Life Genuine International Families Resort urgently needed people. Conveniently, a man who had been employed by the previous owner for nearly 20 years lived in a camper on the resort grounds. If he was willing, he could have become a part of this resort and a Chanyuan Celestial, as he had an excellent opportunity in life. Unfortunately, he did not seize this opportunity. He stayed at the resort for free for 2 months, and eventually, I had to ask him to leave. My principle is that I will never assign anyone to a specific job, nor will I demand or force anyone to do anything. The Life Genuine value is that everything should be based on self-awareness and willingness. Thus, in our home, each member must be highly free, and every member must voluntarily engage in work they are good at and passionate about, striving to excel in their duties. I give you complete freedom, and then I observe you. If you want to sleep all day, I won't interfere. If you want to play games online all day, I won't interfere. If you do just a little work each day and then wander around, that's your choice, and I won't interfere. However, if I discover that you are habitually lazy, lack self-discipline, are not proactive in your work, and yet want to eat well, dress well, and live well, I will wait for an appropriate time to ask you to leave. From this, I discovered a secret of the universe. The Tao's eye is always watching each of us. Our future depends entirely on our daily words and actions. Even our emotions, expressions, words, and gestures will affect our future. This is when I understood Laozi's saying, "The net of heaven has large meshes, but it lets nothing through." Knowing this secret of the universe, one can predict a person's future based on their words and actions, and also predict the future of a nation. Even more astonishingly, one can understand a person's or a nation's history based on their current state. This means that by observing a person's current state, one can understand their past mental state and actions. This is when one realizes how just the way of heaven is. The information I want to provide to readers is that when you are in a state of freedom, be extremely careful. Freedom leads to both heaven and hell. Humility, self-restraint, and contributing more will certainly lead to heaven. Arrogance, indulgence, and seeking comfort will certainly lead to hell. 劈柴获得的有关生命的天启. The revelation about life from chopping wood. Xiefeng. September 3, 2024. While chopping wood, I observed an interesting phenomenon. Some logs split in half with just one strong, well-aimed strike. However, there are some logs, about 60 centimeters long and 20 to 30 centimeters in diameter, that no matter how much force or precision is applied, cannot be split with a single strike. Even after multiple attempts, they remain unbroken. To split these special logs, I had to insert an axe into the initial crack and then hammer the back of the axe. As the crack widened, I would insert another axe into the new opening and continue hammering until, after dozens of attempts, the log finally split in half. When comparing the split surfaces of normal logs and these special logs, normal logs have flat, even surfaces, while special logs have twisted, spiral surfaces. Why is this? Although I haven't conducted a detailed study, I speculate that these special logs experienced some kind of twisting pressure during their growth. To survive and grow, they didn't grow straight but in a spiral manner. Over time, the grain of these trees became twisted rather than straight. Logs with straight grain are easy to split, while those with twisted grain are much harder to split. The grain represents the nature of the tree. Trees can have straight or twisted natures. Straight grain trees are not only good materials for making furniture and building houses, but they are also easy to split for firewood. Twisted grain trees, however, are not suitable for furniture or construction, are difficult to process, and are hard to split for firewood. This gives us an insight. If something grows and develops in an environment without suffering or prolonged pressure, it easily becomes useful, and its nature remains pure, simple, and gentle. Conversely, if something endures more suffering and hardship during its growth, its nature becomes twisted. It is not easy to become useful, but its character becomes very resilient and strong. Further insight is that if a person has a gentle nature and easily gets along with others, their family environment is likely harmonious, with parents who rarely argue or use threats and violence. They receive more praise than criticism in school and experience smooth sailing at work. Conversely, if a person grows up in a disharmonious family, with parents often belittling each other, and experiences frequent criticism and suppression at school and work, their nature becomes twisted. They develop strong resilience, and external forces find it hard to break them. They also find it difficult to accept others' advice and persuasion. Another insight from this is that on our life journey, when we encounter people with resilient and strong natures who are difficult to persuade, we should be more understanding and forgiving. We should show more sympathy and compassion because they have already endured much suffering. However, remember that their nature is already formed, so do not argue with them. Any dispute will not only be ineffective, but will also strain the relationship, which is detrimental to both parties. Specially natured things are special materials needed in unique situations, so they have their distinctive value and purpose. Similarly, special people have their unique value and use. Therefore, whether normal or abnormal, all are creations of nature and treasures in the greatest Creator's embrace. Emotion, love, sex, beauty, and the way of nature. Xiefeng. April 4, 2012. Translation edited by Jijing. Gentle breezes blow, white clouds drift, green mountains layer upon layer, birds fly freely, flowers bloom and wither, tides rise and fall, morning light shines, and sunsets glow. Grasses and trees are lush, flowers are in full bloom, rivers rush, and streams babble. All of this is nature, all unfolding in the way of nature. Spring brings growth, summer flourishes, autumn harvests, winter stores, growth and decay, formation and dissolution, the alternation of seasons, and the cycle of life are all natural, all thriving and waning within the way of nature. Young girls awaken to spring. Young men experience their first emissions, romance blossoms, and the union of yin and yang. All these are natural, all arise within the way of nature. The way of nature is the way of the greatest creator, the ultimate way of the universe, the most perfect way in space and time. Emotion is the spice of life, the form and function of sex or nature. All things are infused with emotion. All beings are sentient. Emotion is the ultimate expression of the way of nature. Love is the dance of emotions among those who attract, harmonize, and resonate with each other. It is the deepest essence of all life's continuity, a combination of all beautiful things and a source of nourishment. Sex, or nature, is the essence of life. It is life itself. All things and phenomena are expressions, manifestations, and blossoms of sex. Beauty is the outward expression of life's essence. It is the core element that makes the world vibrant and fascinating, the melody and dance of light's many wavelengths. Emotion, love, sex, and color are all manifestations of nature in its most primitive essence. They are the most valuable components of life, the source of all pleasures, and the essential forces that sustain life. The vibrant and colorful splendor of the world is due to emotion, love, sex, and beauty. Without them, the world would be barren, lifeless, devoid of vitality, joy, and meaning. It would be cold, bleak, indifferent, and dead. Willows sway, bamboo bends gracefully, birds sing melodiously, swans glide, peacocks fan their feathers, mandarin ducks play in the water, tender gazes and shared drinks under the moonlight, babbling streams, and lush green mountains. All of these are emotions, ripples, and waves of sentiment. Flowers exude fragrance, fruits hang heavy on the branches, cows and sheep calmly nurse. The sunset bathes the mountains and rivers. All of these represent love, the blossoming and overflow of affection. Majestic mountains, rushing rivers, towering peaks, valleys emerging from the mist, birds soaring in clear skies, fish swimming in the waters, peonies in full bloom, and butterflies fluttering. These all represent sex, the expression and exuberance of nature. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. A rainbow arches over mountains, wildflowers bloom, greenery thrives, parrots and nightingales flaunt their beauty, jade, agate, and coral reefs shine, and the multicolored sparkle of diamonds. All these represent color, its brilliance and grace. Emotion, love, sex, and color are masterpieces of nature, expressions of the natural world. Without them, would nature still be nature? It would be hell, a gathering of demons. Humans are the essence of nature, so we should fully embody the fragrance and nectar of emotion, love, sex, and color. Without emotion, a person becomes unfeeling, devoid of interest, cold, expressionless, cruel, like a mummy. Without love, a person becomes greedy, selfish, jealous, combative, inherently lazy, and repulsive, like a demon. Without sex, a person cannot distinguish yin from yang, right from wrong, lacks understanding of principles, cannot tell good from evil, beauty from ugliness, fragrance from stench, rendering them useless, without offspring. Without color, a person's face is like dead ash, lifeless, eyes vacant, devoid of beauty. Such a life is worse than dung. Some people practice Buddhism, claiming that emotion, beauty, and sex are desires to be transcended. What nonsense! The more you transcend emotion, beauty, and sex, the more you become a demon, a zombie, a mummy. Some people practicing Buddhism claim that they no longer need emotion, beauty, and sex and aim to focus solely on reaching the Elysium world. This is an affront to Buddha and the Elysium world. Without emotion, love, sex, and beauty, what is the point of reaching the Elysium world? Without these, can it still be Elysium? How can you find bliss without them? Some say that emotion, beauty, and sex deplete energy, causing it to flow out. What nonsense! I've never heard of energy flowing in sewage pipes, of energy being depleted in the toilet, or of sexual union actually draining energy. I've even heard that those who enjoy emotion, love, sex, and beauty will struggle to achieve enlightenment. That's pure nonsense. Without emotion, love, sex, and beauty, what are you striving for in enlightenment? Does enlightenment lack these elements? Enlightenment devoid of emotion, love, sex, and beauty is no true enlightenment. It's a distortion, definitely not true enlightenment. Such a path is like dog feces, horse urine, scabs, or filthy, sticky pus. Buddhism doesn't even understand the origins of the universe and life. It's nonsense. All day chanting, burning incense, and bowing with no joy, no vitality, living in a dreamlike stupor, straying from the way of nature. What is that worth? Nothing. Even comparing such a study to nonsense is too kind. It's worse than that. What is Buddha? Is something without emotion, without love, without sex, without beauty considered Buddha? It doesn't even compare to dog feces. Some people practice Buddhism and say that one should reject and transcend sex. This is utter ignorance, not even knowing where fart comes from. Buddha himself embodies sex. Without sex, can there be a Buddha? Can you achieve Buddhahood if you transcend sex? Can you even transcend sex? Without sex, you wouldn't even exist, so how could you transcend it? Even if you could transcend sex, what would remain? What would be left in this vast world? In short, to achieve a wonderful life and a bright future, one must immerse oneself in emotion, love, sex, and beauty, rather than distancing oneself from them. Immersing oneself brings vibrant splendor, overwhelming beauty, and boundless vitality. Distancing oneself results in desolate wastelands, howling ghosts, lifelessness, and endless suffering. Additional content. Fine Celestial. Excellent article. Every mental constraint can bind human nature. This article can remove the mental constraints in people's hearts. Haha. In fact, the key issue is not what to do, but how to do it. And how to do it reflects a person's spiritual quality and conscious thinking. A perfect spirit involves continually transforming consciousness and changing thinking. Emotion, love, sex, and beauty are not about whether one should engage in them or not, but whether one's spirit is perfect, whether it has transformed from mundane to celestial in these aspects, from attachment to freedom and liberation. A spiritually perfect person is not attached to emotion, love, sex, or beauty, nor trapped by them. Emotion, love, sex, and beauty are the most basic and vital elements of nature or life. Instead of transcending emotion, love, sex, and beauty, one should understand how to elevate them. This is the true meaning of cultivation and practice. However, all of this involves a process of self-evolution and sublimation. In essence, all activities of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind should not be clung to. One must learn to face them with a heart that is detached or naturally free, which is true awakening, and thus achieve the state of non-action where nothing is left undone. As for energy loss, I believe it is not about the activities of emotion, love, sex, and beauty themselves, but about where the mind and consciousness are focused. Preface to the chapter on Revelations by Xiefeng. The spirit, Tao, of the greatest creator and the universe are inseparable, just as the earth and life are intertwined. The human body's organs, blood and marrow, sensory organs, hair, and consciousness are also interconnected as a whole. The greatest creator has never engaged in direct conversations with any individual in human-created languages. However, this does not mean that the greatest creator is distant from humanity. The greatest creator is constantly in dialogue with humans, but the form of communication is not through our human languages. Instead, it occurs through the language of the greatest creator. All things in the natural world are the language of the greatest creator, and all phenomena in nature are the utterances of the greatest creator. The sun, moon, stars, rivers, lakes, oceans, wind, clouds, rain, snow, humans, animals, birds, insects, trees, flowers, mountains, rocks, and the earth itself are all the language of the greatest creator. The movements of celestial bodies, the rushing of rivers, the roaring of the sea, the changing of weather, the falling of rain and snow, the shifting of seasons, the growth and decline of living beings, including the chirping of insects, the calls of birds, the shouts of humans, the neighing of horses, earthquakes, floods, thunderstorms, and lightning are all the speech of the greatest creator. Everything that humans perceive through their eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body is the language and speech of the greatest creator. To understand the language of the greatest creator and comprehend his speech, one cannot rely solely on sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. It requires spiritual perception, but spiritual perception alone is not enough. Wisdom is also necessary. Without spiritual perception, we will never understand the language and speech of the greatest creator, and without wisdom, we will never grasp what the greatest creator is saying. Having spiritual perception alone without wisdom, we can only sense the presence of the greatest creator but cannot accurately understand the workings of the greatest creator's spirit, Tao. In other words, we may only know that we are destined to live and destined to die, but we are unclear about the reasons why we exist and why we must face death. This is referred to as knowing the what, but not knowing the why. Having wisdom alone without spiritual perception, we cannot truly perceive the existence of the greatest creator. We can only rely on accumulated human knowledge, experience, lessons, rigorous logical reasoning, and scientific experiments to uncover some mysteries of the universe, nature, and life. In other words, we may understand why we live and why we die, but we cannot comprehend the ultimate reasons behind the necessity of life and death. This is referred to as knowing the why, but not knowing the what. With the exception of a very small number of individuals who possess both spiritual perception and wisdom, generally speaking, religious figures have spiritual perception but lack wisdom, while scientists have wisdom but lack spiritual perception. The majority of the general population, who fall between these two categories, lack both spiritual perception and wisdom. They merely exist blindly, living their lives without a clear sense of purpose. The chapter of Revelations is the divine revelation given to me by the greatest creator. Before completing the chapters on unconventional thinking, the greatest creator, universe, time and space, humanity and human life, self-improvement, self-cultivation, and physical and spiritual health care, it is necessary to first complete Revelations. However, considering that Revelations directly involves the mysteries and secrets of the universe, it could pose significant risks if known by individuals with malicious intentions. It is akin to nuclear weapons. If in the hands of peace-loving individuals, they can deter those who seek to cause war and unrest, instill fear in them, and prevent their recklessness. But if controlled by evil individuals, humanity will suffer greatly. Jesus warned me, "Do not give holy things to dogs, nor cast pearls before swine." The Buddha enlightened me, "Speak for the Mahayana practitioners." The spirit of Laozi advised me, "Tao, when obtained by a noble person, becomes the foundation of their self-cultivation, while when obtained by a petty person, it is treated lightly and without reverence for life." What should I do? I must heed the admonitions of gods, Buddhas, and immortals. However, in the vast sea of humanity, it is impractical for me to individually seek out noble individuals who practice the Mahayana path. Moreover, time is limited, and I don't have much time to patiently guide each person. Therefore, I have no choice but to follow the doctrine of the mean and adopt a middle path. I will conceal the mysteries and secrets beneath the surface of phenomena, only hinting at them. This way, those who possess spirituality and wisdom can see beyond the surface, transcend the vastness, and more easily discover the gems and gold beneath the earth's surface. As for the rest of the people, they will be like what Jesus said, "Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand." In addition to Revelations and the other mentioned chapters, there is another chapter in Life Genuine called the Preaching of the Tao. This chapter is entirely different from the Tao Te Ching, and it can be said without exaggeration that the wisdom contained in the preaching of the Tao far surpasses that of the Tao Te Ching. For instance, when it comes to beings who are destined for or already in hell, Jesus' attitude is, lest they repent and be forgiven. On the other hand, in Buddhism, Bodhisattva Ksitigarbha vows, I vow to save all sentient beings in the world, and I will not enter the Elysium world until hell is empty. Who is right and who is wrong? Whose guidance should we ultimately follow? Preaching of the Tao specifically addresses such challenging questions. However, the timing is not ripe at the moment. Only when life genuine is widely accepted by all human beings can preaching of the Tao be shared openly. It is similar to constructing a building where exquisite chandeliers cannot be hung until the main structure is completed. Laozi said, when the highest type of followers hears Tao, the truth, they try hard to live in accordance with it. When mediocre types hear Tao, they seem to be aware and yet unaware of it. When the lowest types hear Tao, they break into loud laughter. If it is not laughed at, it is not Tao. Regarding the chapter of Revelations, those who understand will discern its true essence, while those who do not will merely spectate. Apart from that, I have nothing else to discuss. 人生需要一条跑道. Life needs a track. Xiefeng. February 27, 2007. Edited by Kayer. Many talented people living among us appear to be mediocre, not because they are of low intelligence or are not gifted, but because they have either not found their own tracks or they have taken the wrong ones. Everyone has unlimited potential, but the main reason for not having given play to their potential is not because they are born stupid or have insufficient mental skills, but because they have never found their best life track from start to finish. No matter how excellent an aircraft is, it will never fly if there is no runway, for an aircraft with no runway will never be more than a pile of metal. No matter how much potential an excellent sprinter or long-distance runner has, his or her talents would remain buried without a racetrack, knowing not whether they are a mediocre horse or a swift horse until death. Life needs a track, and battlefields, business markets, officialdom, farms, and social realms all have lots of them. We must choose the track that best suits us, because it is only with the right track that we can give full play to our talents. Generals Eisenhower and Patton demonstrated their outstanding military talents because they had the track of war, but if there had been no tracks of war, who would even know their names? Zhu Jun, Yang Lan, and Ai Ping, and others have become the focus of millions of people, sparkling with brilliance, simply because they shared the track of television. Who would they otherwise be? Jet Li and Andy Lau rose to fame far and wide simply because of the track of movies. Throughout the history of Communist Party of China, many outstanding politicians, strategists, and diplomatic talents have emerged and many commoners became generals. It was because they took the track of the communist movement that they had brilliant lives. But without this track, their talents would have been drowned in life's ocean. Many people turned onto this track and formed the backbone of the state, and many others became millionaires or even billionaires because they took the business track after China's reform, when it opened up, and they gained much wealth. But what would their lives be like today without this track? Nobody knows. Many eminent Buddhist monks showed their superior wisdom because they followed the track of Buddhism. If you want to make something out of life, you must choose a track that suits your personality because you cannot give play to your talents without the right track. Without the correct track, you will drown in the crowd. The internet is a track and many people are shining with brilliance upon it, creating their own blogs and gathering their own social connections. A large number of authors, writers, critics, and practitioners are emerging on this track and are demonstrating their talents. You have to find your track, but if you do not see the proper one, you should build your own. Why? Because you will play better, be better at the game of life, and make your life more colorful. Do not pretend to be aloof and say that you are too good to engage in this, because that would be finding excuses for your incompetence and failures. A soldier who does not want to be a general is never a good soldier. A life that does not want to have a glorious course is never a good life. If you want to make big money, be the boss. For being the boss is the track to making the most money, and if you want to be an official, build your social connections. For building social connections is the track to being an official. There are numerous tracks, and they are everywhere, but if you want to play your talents to the maximum, you will have to choose a track with infinite prospect. If you choose a good track, you can have a good life, but if you choose a bad track, you can only have a bad life. Zhang Guotao abandoned the track of the Communist Party and eventually, unknowingly froze to death. On the other hand, Deng Xiaoping stuck with the track of the Communist Party and eventually had his wishes fulfilled. If you choose polishing shoes, then you will unconsciously be on the track of polishing shoes. If you choose to steal, then you will unconsciously be on the track of crime. If you choose to reap without sowing, then you will, over time, get on a greedy, selfish, and parasite track. If you choose a mass movement, you will be on the track of confronting the government. If you choose life genuine, then you are naturally taking on the track of trekking and climbing to the highest realm of life and life. Which is the best track? It depends on you. You must choose your track completely on your own. The best track is one that you can follow for a lifetime. Tracks can be regularly replaced if they are not good, because some tracks have no futures and lead to dead ends with steep precipices. You will have to sharpen your eyes to think and judge. Some tracks seem narrow and bumpy at first, but the more you walk on them, the broader, brighter, and more brilliant they become, while others look broad, densely populated, and big. Yet the more you walk on them, the more your feet hurt, you become confused and frustrated, and the narrower and darker they become. If you have the ability to rule a country, the ambition to ride on top of the world, and have both superintelligence and indomitable willpower, then you had better build your own track. If you do not, then you can borrow others' ready-made tracks. For example, instead of creating your own blogs with few hits, you might want to promote your ideas and display your talents on another's website or bulletin board. Instead of creating your own website with painstaking care and precision, yet having no visitors, you might as well demonstrate your skills on someone else's websites. Once you have chosen your track, you must not give it up too easily, for giving up means failure. Remember, 1,000 sails pass by the shipwreck and 10,000 saplings thrive beyond the withered tree. No one will sympathize with you if you fail. At most, they will express regrets and pity. Once you find that your track has no future, you must give it up as soon as possible and try to blend onto the track with the most brilliant prospects at once, because if you bite the bullet and play hard, you will only miss your opportunity and then grieve it for a lifetime. Remember, the earth will rotate the same, with or without you. A life needs a track. As long as the route is right, you can stride ahead. I hope you follow your splendid life track. 人生的主次先后，轻重缓急。Priorities, the order of importance and the emergence of life. By Xiefeng. From the long-term perspective, we know that each life lasts for only a fleeting moment. Regardless of how capable we might be, we are incapable of escaping our inexorable doom. How to spend this fleeting life is a question deserving our serious consideration and discussion. Look at life from the perspective of life. Life is only a journey, a flash of light in the infinite time and space of life. Since life is so transient, we need to explore the routes and risks of our journey. What kind of life is the most beautiful? As we are all people, we must first consider how to be people. The greatest creator of the universe, created us and meant for us to be people, not ghosts, devils, celestial beings, Buddhas, or gods. If we surrender our humanness to devote our life, time, and energy to becoming higher forms, then we are doing it against the will of the greatest creator. It is only when we first conduct ourselves as people living by the will of the greatest creator that we can hope to attain Buddhahood at the end of our life's journey. It is as if the boss of a company hires someone to be a clerk. The clerk's purpose is to dedicate his efforts toward his own duty, not to ask his boss to consider him to be a section chief, because it is only after he performs his clerk's duties well that the company boss should offer him the opportunity to be promoted to the position of section chief. The intent of the greatest creator in creating us is to enjoy life and not to make us suffer at all. Because for human beings, the greatest creator is love, great love. I do not worship men of the hour or heroes who gallop onto battlefields, nor do I worship those great people who are admired by the masses, or the ordinary people who become Buddhas and gods of the mortal world. I only pay tribute to ordinary, simple, honest, and hardworking people, because those people's lives conform to the way of being mankind. Those who sacrifice their present life pleasures to focus on grace after death do so against Tao. The moralization teachings that people can only obtain well-being after going through affliction and suffering definitely leads them astray. The preaching that asks people to cultivate achievements with intensity, regardless of their family responsibilities, in an attempt to attain special magical powers and arts to glorify the mortal world is questionable. Could it be the devil's temptation? The practice of hyping celebrities, successful figures, distinguished scientists, outstanding entrepreneurs, millionaires, experts, emperors, great men, and heroes will prove to be disturbing, causing people to crowd onto the single-plank bridge and to forget the meaning of life. The benevolent see benevolence, and the wise see wisdom. Life Genuine preaches that the ordinary life is the best life. Life's priorities and orders of importance and emergence should be as follows. The paramount thing in life is to revere the greatest creator, which mainly embodies reverence of nature and reverence of life. If we consider nature as appendages that can be arbitrarily spoiled, treat life, including animals, beasts, insects, fish, trees, flowers, and grass, as dirt, then we are defying and profaning the greatest creator. Our life is one of evil and is doomed to extinction, and we can no longer have a bright future. The first thing to consider and pursue in life is the beauty of the soul, rather than the accumulation of power, money, fame, and desirable people. If one's mind is not beautiful and their soul is dirty, then their life is bound to slip into hell. They are bound to keep company with devils and demons, and their life is a definite failure. The most important thing in life is to explore the mysteries of the universe and the meaning of life. The greatest creator always rewards the wise who have spiritual natures and wisdom and offers them wonderful spiritual enjoyment. If we affix our eyes only to the limited time and space, or even on meeting the needs of our lust, then we are bound to be lost and the water of life will evaporate. The most urgent questions in life are how to elevate the non-material structure of life, its spiritual nature, toward the development of higher life space directions, and how to sublimate our personalities and to perfect our spiritual natures. None of us know what will happen tomorrow. One certain thing is that our life structures will determine the life endings we will have. Everything in life should revolve around this point, because if we die tomorrow, all that we own in the mortal world will be gone. All of our efforts will be in vain, and our precious lives will go wasted for nothing. I am talking about the great way of life. You may take time to think about this. Xiefeng is of no importance, but what is important is that Life Genuine can lead a person's life into an infinitely wonderful world. 寻找人生的最佳坐标系和坐标点. Find the best coordinate system and the best coordinate points of life. Xiefeng. Edited by Kair. This article was inspired by the annotation to the Analects, Shui Er, verse I. Once the roots are established, the way will grow therefrom. Having roots is the way to be human and how to learn about the universe. If you understand how to be human, you can lay the foundation to understand about heaven and the earth. If you do not understand how to be human, it will be difficult to learn about heaven and the earth. What is the way to be human? In my humble opinion, we must first understand our place in the time and space of the universe. Namely, that you are neither God, Buddha, a celestial being, a ghost, a devil, nor a beast, but that you are a mortal human. Knowing that you are a human, you need to do human things, speak human words, take the human way, and seek human business. You should not do ghostly things, speak the God's words, take the devil's way, or engage in absurd businesses. How does one do human things? Show filial piety to your parents, respect your teachers and seniors, care for the young and lonely, help your siblings, show concern for your relatives and neighbors, show compassion to plants and insects, and protect the landscape and the environment. These are human things, and anything that is contrary to them is inhuman. How does one speak